So what's up, brother? I'm glad to have you back on the show now that we can. It's been a minute, many minutes, many moons, and I'm grateful you're able to give me your time today. I know you're running around doing a lot of stuff, busy editing, so I appreciate you being here today, man. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Glenn. Appreciate the good vibes.
Right on.
Appreciate everybody tuning in, and just want to send all love to everybody.
Perfect. So with that kind of being said, let's kick it started. For people just tuning in who might not know, and we can go through this, but the world peace origin, where does the name originate from? Is it like a message? Is it like an omen? Where'd that come from originally? When was that discovered?
World peace is what we need.
Right.
So in 2015, I read the book, The Power of Now, that taught me to live in the present moment, be aware of my thoughts, emotions, and think positively, live a happy life. And I always wanted to be a rapper, so I started making videos online, posting me freestyling.
Yeah.
And what happened was I ended each video with world peace, because all my videos were always talking about peace and love.
Yeah.
And I would just end them with world peace, get the kids off the streets, back in my Kiyan Pepper days. So that's how it was initially formed into like content. But then in 2016, at the start of the year, when I read the book A New Earth by the same author, Eckhart Tolle, it taught me about clearing my mind and fully embracing being in the present moment and not having the fog of thoughts crowding your vision and stressing you out at all times. So when I first started practicing meditation to clear my mind, it changed my whole life. It literally just locked me in. So I'm just right here in the present moment, aware of my thoughts, aware of my emotions, and with the power of my breath, I can maintain my inner peace and inner happiness. And one of the first things I did when I learned that was I went to Staples and I started printing out cards that said world peace and handing them out, and I ended up giving out 65,000 of them. Jeez. And that's the real reason everyone calls me world peace, is because of those cards. Like, my name's Kiyan Pepper, right? Yeah. And just handing out those cards, I got everybody calling me world peace, so I had to switch the name, because I was always talking about peace and love, so I just switched the moniker to world peace, and boom shakalaka, that's how it happened. But yeah, world peace is what we need, and I promote it in my music, in my message, in my videos, and everything every day, because I feel like we all need to be at peace with ourselves so we can go out in the world and be at peace with everybody.
Right. Amazing. So I love the message, and I kind of want to back up a bit and understand it seems to me, like with the meditation aspect of it, if you don't mind, I want to focus in on this real quick because I think it's very important to do. How often do you meditate? Like, do you have to do it before you do something crazy or something small, before you go out, is that just how you center yourself every time? So like, do you do it frequently? Like, what's that process look like?
Okay, I need your help real quick. I need you to close your eyes, take a deep breath.
Okay.
And just zoom out of your body and just look down on yourself. Close your eyes, breathe, zoom out of your body and just look down on yourself right here in the present moment. So that little exercise, I read in a book, or maybe I watched in a video, I don't remember, but all I know is when I first learned about clearing my mind, I would stay aware of my thoughts and I would always catch them. Mm-hmm. And I would do that little trick to clear my mind and lock myself in the present moment, and then I would focus on my breath to keep my mind clear. So a lot of people think of meditation as a set 5-minute sit down with your legs crossed, but I realized that meditation is a very vast word, and for me, meditation can mean a lot of things too. There's a lot of different forms of meditation. People meditate at church on the Bible, So in the term meditation, the way I'm sort of using it in this context is to clear my mind and to keep it clear. So with the power of my breath, the power of my mindful breath, not even deep breath, just the fact that we're breathing right now, to be aware.
Being focused on.
Yes.
Okay.
Shining awareness that there's air flowing in and out of your body right now without you even having to think about it. Not taking deep breaths, just focusing on the air coming in and out and letting that soothe your soul and keep you present. And I use that as the tool to keep me in the present moment, to keep me aware of my thoughts, and to keep my mind clear. And when I first learned to clear my mind, it was like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and I was like, whoa, this is it. Mm-hmm. Because I had been on a search for happiness since I read The Power of Now, and I realized like happiness is the true wealth. Like, we need to be happy within. So I always wanted to be a rapper, so that's why I started rapping. And it just went. Mm-hmm. The universe, God brought me on this path. I didn't make these decisions. It just all happened. So when I started learning to clear my mind, I realized like that's it. When you have a clear mind, no fog of thoughts, no overthinking, no stressing, life is amazing because we're just all one right here, right now on this planet, dependent on Mother Earth for food, water, and shelter. So from that position, I just slowly started pushing that more and more and more until it just became habitual. And yeah, now I really try my best to keep my mind clear all the time, unless obviously I need to solve issues, then I'll use this tool of a mind to solve problems, because you really don't need to think. When you're driving down the road, you don't need to think, you need to pay attention, you know?
Right, yeah.
You shouldn't be thinking, you should be watching these cars, making sure you don't blow a red light, make sure you stop at the stop sign, look around for people, you know what I mean? Like, cooking, right? Yeah. You don't need to think, you need to read the recipe, you know? Okay, you might need to think of, oh, maybe it's a recipe in the back of your head, you have to think of what you're going to put into the recipe, but you don't have to always be thinking about this and that, because you're just wasting energy. People ask me why I have so much energy. I'm not wasting my energy all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And the thing about having your mind race, sorry, you got me on this rant, because once your mind's racing, it can be pulled any direction. If you're not in control, or at least aware of what's going on, it can pull you in any direction based on whatever happens in the world. So if your mind's just racing, and you go down the street and someone cuts you off, now your mind's racing about do that person, or you're driving down the road and get a flat tire, now your mind's racing about, oh, woe is me, and now that's consuming your mind and becoming more and more of your identity. So one of the things I've learned is to disidentify from my mind and not take those thoughts personally, because they've all been programmed in your mind, and they're all just habits. So you can make your own positive habits. That's why I make all my music positive, because it's about training our minds to think positive and think optimistically and think gratefully. So from that perspective, I just keep my mind clear, and if I need to use it, I'll use it. And one thing I did do is, there was a couple of years I lived on Manitoulin Island, I barely spoke. I talk a lot, eh? So it was because I was locked into my breath, and I had to focus so intently on keeping my mind clear, and I slowly spoke more and more and more, and then I realized I could let my speech go, I could let my mind go and communicate without having to keep focusing on my breath, because I'm so locked into the present moment that I could stay aware of my thoughts. I can stay aware of the now, and it doesn't suck me in. That's what I don't want to say worried of, but I didn't want to get sucked in. I wanted to stay in this position of awareness, and then I realized I could just let myself go and you know what I mean? So then I started speaking more and more and more, and I realized that explaining what I'm explaining right now was harder than meets the eye. So I've been trying my best to explain it all these years, because I truly feel like if people can clear their minds, be present, and be at peace with themselves, if all of us can do that, and who doesn't want to be at peace with themselves? Who doesn't want to be at peace with their own thoughts, you know? So I really, really believe that if everybody gets on the page of inner peace, we'll have world peace. Because if you're at peace with yourself, I'm not going to go out and attack you and you, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. So that's just my perspective on it. And with regards to meditation, to wrap it up, meditation is a very powerful tool. It's a very large spectrum of different things. Like I said, you can go to church, you can clear your mind, or you can meditate and have positive mantras in your mind. But all of them, I feel, are all good. The process of being aware of your thoughts, though, is like a very powerful thing. That's what the Power of Now taught me. The first thing it said was watch the thinker. Be aware of your thoughts. And that right there was a very, very, that was like one of the pivotal changes, because now you could always stay aware of your thoughts. It's not that hard to stay aware of your thoughts. All I need you to do is say world peace in your head without using your mouth. Say world peace in your head without using your mouth. Now realize you heard it. But you didn't hear it with your ears. That's you aware of your mind. It's the same mind that stresses and races. So just stay aware of it. Stay aware when things are going on up there, and realize that's not who you are in your true essence. They're just thoughts. They've been programmed in your mind. Like, we're adults now, we can program our own thoughts. I try and tell, like, especially teens, because they're
so impressionable, bro.
They're so impressionable, but the thing about teens that are different than like 8-year-olds or 7-year-olds is a 13-year-old can program their own mind. They're smart enough. They know what's going on. If you talk to a 13-year-old, they're smart. They know exactly what's going on.
Absolutely.
But if you don't program your own mind, now you're just going at the whim of what all the media is telling you, what your family's telling you, what your friends are telling you. You know what I mean? Now you're just at the whim of, you know what I mean? You can't have that, right? You gotta stay in control of your own peace and love. And if it's not going the way you want it to go at this present moment, it's up to you to deal with it, you know? People out here, for me, when I see people, woe is me, but aren't doing things, or I'll talk to them about it, and it sounds like it's a pretty good situation. You know what I mean? I was speaking to someone recently who was dealing with like a family issue. And they weren't doing the best. So I reached out, with some support. And my support, I like to give like motivational support, like, because at the end of the day, like, especially if it's internal and you're emotional, it's up to you. Like, woe is me is not helping
at
you.
the end of the day,
you know, blah blah blah. You got to deal with it, you know. And it's happened many times where I've gotten in these conversations, and it's led to realizing that the person is in a situation that isn't even that bad.
Right.
They're just taking the world personally. That's one thing. There's a book called The Four Agreements. One of the four agreements was don't take the world personally. And if you're taking like, let's say family, for instance, you know, your family does a lot of good things for you, but your family's annoying you with this, that, and that. It's like, but you're taking all that personally as if they're doing it directly to you. That's just the world. That's just the world. You know what I mean? That's their life, you know? And if they're doing anything else to help you in this world, just be grateful. And if those four things aren't helping, then deal with them yourself, you know? And kids are different, but like I said, once you hit 13, 14, we all know people that since 13, 14 have been on their own. There's a few people that have been on their own since young, and they've been making it work because their family wasn't there for them, right? I'm grateful I have my family.
People who signed this table.
You know what I mean? You know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, of course.
So, like, at a certain age, you know, you got to realize it's up to you. I had a conversation recently about...
I like that.
What?
I like that. That's a good message, though.
I agree. So, I was speaking to a youth.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say where, just because it's very personal. It's very personal stuff I'm about to get into. But the conversation was... It was light at first. And then it got into suicide.
Right away, yeah.
Like, fairly quickly. And I, you know, kept talking back and forth, and I tried to let this youth know who was either 12 or 13 that it's up to you.
Yeah.
It's up to you to deal with your mental health. Because from what I gathered, it was the peers saying bad things. Yeah. Maybe not the best situation of life, you know, causing bad influences. But at the end of the day, if you're 13 years old and up, you're aware of your thoughts. You're aware of your emotions, or you could practice being more aware of them. You could practice being more relaxed within, keeping your mind clear, keeping your emotions at bay. That's the thing with emotions too. Like, you could feel emotion, but it is what it is. That's the thing too. Is I learned to not let my emotions trigger my thoughts, race and spiral out of control, and then the cycle just. So you start thinking, your mind gets triggered from something in society, it's racing, it triggers your emotions, now you're feeling emotions, now your mind's racing even more, talking about, oh, I feel so bad, which triggers your emotions even more, and it just spirals and spirals and spirals. So like little processes like that I've read in these books, and it just makes perfect sense, because before I used to deal with that stuff all the time, until I read it, and now I'm like, I'd be foolish not to master this and get rid of this nonsense in my internal workings, because that's up to me. Yeah. So that's why I really like a lot of things in this world. Like, I find, you know, it's up to you, especially like internally, and like, and you know, external is easier to actually think about, because you know, you work out, you got to work hard. You know, you got to try, you got to put forth the effort. And I feel like I'm not even blaming anybody. I'm just saying the mental health, the emotional health, the internal health, compared to your physical health, is more elusive due to the fact that I can't see it. Right. So I can't look. I think I can look at you and see, oh, you're in real good shape. Yeah. Can you give me some tips? Oh, do this. Okay, perfect. I'll do that. Do it. When we were kids, there was recess. We all knew what to do. We all know how to. You know, we got to eat healthy. We got to move our bodies. Drink water. Get good sleep. Go get some sunshine. You know, like simple things. But mental health wise, emotional health, it's not at the forefront. Well, it's coming to the forefront, but the solutions aren't at the forefront. Like, kids aren't trained up at a young age to meditate, clear their minds, be aware of their emotions, be aware of their thoughts, train their minds. You know, they're aware of all. No, they're teaching them that. Exercise, do that stuff. Think about it, there's been gym class since you were born. Since you get,
they're starting to get rid of some of those. They're starting.
You're right.
They're watered down now.
No, you're right. You're right.
Getting watered down.
100% right. But what I'm trying to say is that like they're not putting the mental health into like JK mandatory. Like, there's still, if you go to an elementary school, you have to take gym. You know what I mean? Sure, some kids may sit there and sit out, but like there's still gym class. But there's no meditation class mandatory in the curriculum all across the whole country.
Breath work, meditation.
So like nothing. That's why I don't fault people, but I just like I'm really like stern. I'm like, it's up to you. Like, these are the simple tools I've learned that have changed my life, and they're not that complicated. Like mindful breathing, being aware of your thoughts, clearing your mind, breathing and calming down your emotions, and locking into the present moment and just being aware of those aspects of life and not letting them suck you in. And if they suck you in, just go back to your breath. Because the breath, it's a powerful tool. Holy moly. But yeah, so meditation to me it's very vast, but I feel like the breath is the foundation of meditation, and people meditate in different ways, but for me, my favorite is to just keep my mind clear and lock into a state of meditation all the time. Like all the time. You're saying time. The time is now. The power of now. There's only one time, the present moment. So when I learned that, it really changed my perspective on a lot of things, because right now is the time. So I got to do it right now. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I got to breathe and meditate and clear my mind and lock into my inner peace right now. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So that's why I'm really like firm on people, like, hey, we got to do this right now. Like right now. It's like, obviously some things take time, right? Sure. But at the end of the day, you're taking the steps right now, and you're working towards it. But you got to start now. You know, your mental health's up to you, and you got to deal with it now in the present.
My question for you that I've been like wrestling with in the broad stroke of mental health, and that answers what I'm curious about with what you did. But what I want to know is, at what point was, because it sounds like when you approach certain scenarios you've talked about in the past, like in like this conversation so far with like the school and talking to different youth, at what point does understanding and empathy meet action?
Can you elaborate on that?
What I mean by that is, when it comes to mental health and understanding, the problem with this person, I don't see them in good shape, I'm not going to ask them for fitness advice, right? Yeah. So it's more prevalent because, like you said a few minutes ago, you could see it, right? It's in front of you, there's evidence.
That chiseled jawline's obvious over there.
Like, but check this out. If you can't see it in regards to people's mental health, right? But you require a certain level of empathy and understanding to get you to that like commonality of, I can understand what you're going through, so now I know to where do I need to meet your like needs in order to help you get better. At what point in somebody's journey do you think mental health or struggling with it specifically, if they're struggling with mental health, how far into that journey is like understanding and empathy not enough, and they need to start taking action? Because it was like, I can try to understand you as much as I believe is possible, but how far is that getting us? You're still struggling with it.
I agree.
At what point is it like, okay, man, it's up to you?
It's the start, right day one, the present moment, it's always up to you. You know what I mean? It's up to you to go see a psychiatrist. Yeah. It's up to you to talk to friends. It's up to you to you know what I mean? It's like, it's up to you. It's you. It's your life. No one knows unless you tell them. Like that first step of saying, hey, to your teacher, I'm dealing with this, whoop-de-whoop. That's up to you. If you just sat there and don't do anything, like they say, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? 100%. If you don't say something, the teacher's not like. If the teacher's like, I'm using this because kids are a bit more shy, and teachers are like the guardian figure. They bigger, louder, So the teacher sees little Johnny, struggling, and you can just tell Johnny's like dealing with something, but Johnny doesn't speak up, he won't tell and the teacher keeps asking and asking, but Johnny says nothing. Like, that's what I mean. It's day one. If Johnny says, this was happening, like, you know what I mean? Because if he doesn't, like, he's just there, and then what's going to happen next? They call somebody else, and then he never speaks to that person. And like, what I'm trying to get at is, like, at a certain point, like, it's up to you, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously it's up to you to take that step. And some things are hard, some things are challenging. But at the end of the day, though, like, Johnny has to take that step. Sure, there might be a huge step, and it might be very challenging due to some past traumas or something going on, because mental health is a crazy thing. Like, from my conversations with a lot of people, I find in society now...
Does this always come up? Sorry to interrupt there. I want to interject. Does that always come up?
What do you mean?
Like the conversation?
Mental health?
Yeah, in these areas that you're talking about?
Like, what do you mean? Like, when
does it just come up?
In conversation?
Yeah.
It does. It just depends. Like I said, if a person stepping up and bringing it up, or asking me a question like you, can you explain this? And if someone wants me to explain something, I'll explain it maybe simply at first, and then if they're interested, I'll delve more into the topic because they're interested. But I feel like in society nowadays, back to what I was saying, is mental health is a conversation now. It's a big conversation. Yeah. But like I was saying, the tools and the answers, I don't even want to say the answers because that's a big word, but the tools and the tactics and the different strategies to cope with your mental health, fix your mental health, train your mental health so you're in good mental shape and emotional shape, those strategies aren't implemented in our education system. Yeah. but
100%.
the mental health conversation is. It's just this. They're talking about it. You know what I mean? We're just not there yet. We just haven't figured it out as a society yet. That's just what I've seen. Because when I went to school, there was a like we're I'm 20 years what?
Yeah,
you're same age as me,
yeah.
so you're younger than me. But in in our schooling experience, mental health was a slight conversation. It wasn't like it is now. Now it's very big. It's completely switched. They're more accepting of different mental. I don't even want to say illnesses, because to me it's not an illness. Like if someone's overweight, you're not calling that person ill. You know what I mean? They're just a little overweight. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's up to them. You know. But what I'm trying to get with the mental side of it is, if someone's dealing with their mental. Just their mental, not their mental illness. Because if you're overthinking and stressing about this and that, you're not ill. You're not ill though. You know what I mean? You just have it. You just don't have the tools. Like I said, we talk about it, but we don't have the schools don't have a curriculum where it has the answers to help that kid who's dealing with his mental health.
Interesting.
So a lot of like the system, just this is my perspective, labels it as mental illness. Take these pills, this and that, and you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of that going on because people do not have the tools to deal with it, and that's just how I see it. I don't know, obviously everybody does different things, but what I'm trying to get is, as a whole, it's not a concrete, like, every day there's gym class, every day there's meditation and mental health and emotional health class. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Every day there's gym.
Self-awareness Sunday.
Every day you have to do gym, until you hit grade 9, and now it's up to you.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy. But you know what I mean? Mental health is like, mental health should be more prioritized in that front, because you can't even see it. You know what I mean?
Strategies, like breath work,
You know what I mean? It should be a whole class. They're teaching the little ones so that as the kids grow up, they're aware of their thoughts. They're aware of their emotions.
Why aren't they reading The Power Now?
It's honestly, the book is kind of it's a deep book. It really is.
Yeah.
It's a really deep book, and
and Hamlet isn't.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
No, you're right. But what I'm saying is, like, The Power Now would come in a high school. That'd be a high school.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That'd be a high school read. I feel like
at 14, 15, 16. Yeah.
Oh,
100%.
I agree, 100%. That changed my whole life, right? And you asked me about like empathy and that sort of it, right? Yeah. That sort of side of it. Like, the thing with having conversations with different people, like, I'm no professional. I've just read some things. I'm aware of certain things. A lot of the conversations I have with people are stemmed around simple things like overthinking. It's not a mental illness. Everybody overthinks. Just some people, their thoughts.
100%.
Some people, people's thoughts.
You kidding?
Have been programmed in a negative, depressing way.
Yeah. So hold on to that, because there's something I want to throw in. I was listening to something earlier this morning on my way to work, and the big thing that they talked about is the thing with our problems. Excuse me. Is if we're always focused on our own problems, we do what you referred to back a handful of minutes ago, which is they only get worse and worse and worse. If I'm so focused on other things that I can't control, it's like, well, now my whole attention is around these problems. And then after how long, what you said is they become habitual. You start doing them every day. You start thinking about them every day. Every time we hang out, you're always talking about being depressed.
Exactly.
Like, well, but then you wonder why you have no friends. Well, it's because people around don't always want to hear about how you're not having the best day ever.
Well, check this out, right? To interject, that person is taking a step of reaching out. But like I said, as a whole, we don't have all the solutions. So if I come to my random buddy and I tell him, oh, whoop-de-whoop, I'm dealing with this, he doesn't have no solutions. He's just sitting there in the same perspective as you, like, oh man, like, this is all he talks about. Like, we're not going to call him to go to the game night.
Here's the thing, but what if, and the scenario I'm referring to specifically too, what if you offer
and they don't do anything?
And then every time you see them, they do what you said earlier.
It's a
cycle.
See? So that goes back to, it's up to you. It's it's up to you to take those steps, right? And
but that's where they're like, oh, we let them be the victim of this? Where do we...
Wait, check this out. What I was getting at before you brought that up, because that's perfect. That's perfect. No, what you were saying goes perfect to what I was saying. Is there's some people that it's very small, right? Very overthinking. It's like, man, you're overthinking. Everybody overthinks. Your thoughts just are on a negative trajectory. But then some people deal with crazy mental illnesses. I'm going to talk about, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there is
like mental illness. Some people are dealing with mental illness, and it's like...
Illness and health are two different things.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying. Some people are on... And I don't know anything about no mental illnesses. That's like a deep conversation. That's deep stuff. there's trained professionals for that. You know what I mean? So I've had conversations with people, and my perspective, the things I've learned can help to a certain degree. And I'm not aware of other people's thoughts. I'm not aware of what's going on in their head. So your buddy, right, reaches out. You tell him, hey, try this, go to therapy, do this, do this. Let's say you have the best advice humanly possible. But if he doesn't take the advice and he just keeps going in the same spiral, like it's a weird thing, because I shout out to Desi Ranks. We made Every Day's a World Peace Day almost 2 years ago this month. It's I think it was the 22nd. It came out of 2022. But Desi has this saying where it's, I can't do 51%. I can only help you 49%, because if you're doing 51, if I'm doing more than you, you don't want it. I want it more than you want it. You know what I mean?
When you work on something,
you know what I mean. So if your buddy's coming to you and you can give 100%. If he's not giving even 1%,
you can only give.
He's got to put the work in. He's got to make it happen. And it's just like, it's a weird thing, because at a certain point though, like you definitely, at a certain point of the spectrum of our mental health or physical health or our financial health or emotional or whatever's going on, at a certain point, you could be so far down that you really need a lot of help, but you still have to try. You know what I mean? It's just like if you're super ill, like physically, and you're in a state, right? Like at that point, it's kind of like you're kind of too far gone. You know what I mean? Due to health reasons, but the doctors and the machines are taking care of you. At that point, like obviously, but I'm talking like just on a regular level, on a mental health level, that regular people that don't have mental illnesses are dealing with. And our society is having this huge conversation about mental health, so there's all these buzzwords out here, and people are identifying with these buzzwords. And I don't even like to use buzzwords, that's kind of a weird thing. But
it makes the point, though.
You know what I mean? Like, they're just words, and people like identify with that word, and they live their whole life identifying like that word is who they are in their essence.
I have anxiety.
You know what I mean? And think about, I'll use anxiety for example, because you brought it up. Anxiety is, to me, I don't even really know what it means. So when people bring it up, I ask them, what does that mean? Like, can you elaborate?
A fear of unknown.
So no. See, you just came up with what it is. Yeah. But when I ask people what's anxiety,
they don't have an answer.
No. They have answers, but I ask it differently than a lot of people. Okay, I say like, what's anxiety to you?
Right.
That's what I ask. I'm not saying I have nothing against the words. It's just more so like people identify with these words and use them as crutches. When someone will say anxiety, and I'll ask them, and they're really just overthinking all the time. But then there's some people that have like crazy anxiety where it like affects their whole body. And see, I'm not on that level. Call a professional. But if you're talking about anxiety and you overthink, it's like, if you overthinking their negative thoughts, it's like that's just like, that's the same as overthinking and having positive thoughts, just your thoughts are negative. Yeah. That's up to you to train your mind. You have to train it. You know what I mean? Like, back to the great JK. They got to train the kids at a young age so that it's just habitual to be aware that you can train your mind. You know what I mean? So it's a very powerful thing to work on your mental health, and I enjoy having conversations with people about mental health, because it's a conversation that needs to be spread farther and farther. And I feel like it's very, very much with world peace, because you got to start with your inner peace so you can go out and have a peaceful world.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna switch it real quick. Yeah. How you feeling so far, brother? You good?
Oh, I'm groovy.
Perfect.
Groovy like a driving movie.
Groovy like a driving movie, eh? So, what strategies around mental health do you do? Is it just the meditation, or is it
No, that's a good question.
Meditation?
No, that's a good question, man. Holy.
Like, is it exercise? Is it alcohol? Is it like, what do you? That's not a good example of one.
That's a bad example.
Yeah, that's a bad example.
No, but it's good. I like you brought it up because everybody has different ways to cope with their mental health.
Yeah, bro. What do you do?
So
you don't run through a wall.
Like I said, like the mindful breath, being aware of my breath, locking into the present moment, being aware of my thoughts, aware of my emotions, breathing, clear my mind and calming down my emotions, and just being in a calm state within. I worked on that, right? So that's just me. That has nothing to do with any situation in the world. That's the thing. Right. A lot of people's mental and emotional are dependent on the external situation, but it's all inside of you. It's up to you. That's what goes back to it's up to you. You know what I mean? It's up to you to deal with that. And if you're at a certain level where you really, really do need mental health, go get mental health. If you have a mental illness, definitely go get help. I'm not on that level to I don't know.
Figure out the difference of which is one and which is the other, right? Because that's where
You know what I mean? If you're overthinking, it's like you don't have a mental illness. Everybody overthinks.
Yeah.
You just let it consume you because you've never been trained to not let it consume you. You believe those thoughts are who you are in your true essence, but they're just man-made words that are in your mind, that have been programmed in your mind, that race and race and race, and they've become habitual. And this is something too that I've read, and it was in these exact books. These books are deep. Power Now and A New Earth, Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle's the author. The Power Now and New Earth, they're the books. It talks about how internally you get comfortable with these habits, right? So negative or positive habits, but they could be a negative habit and you get comfortable with that habit, right? So now it's familiar to feel the way you feel. So to not do that would be unfamiliar and scary. So you just stick in your sorrows because it's familiar. That book explained that to me. So like when I have conversation with people and people bring up exactly what this book says, I'm like, holy moly, like, but you can't, like, this is the thing too, you can't just tell somebody boom, 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 boom. Right. You know what I mean? Unless like it's something like it's just different. You know what I mean? Like it's a touch and go thing. It's a conversation. Everybody's different, right? You can't just come a certain way. Me, I'm more of like a do this, like let's go. Like it's up to you. Like make it happen. You know, put in the work, learn, try, learn, try. You know, put in the effort. Yeah. So yeah, like those things. But then let's say for me, for instance, mind clear, emotions calm. I'm good. I'm at peace with myself, at peace with life around me.
Yeah.
Something goes on, right? So I'll give an example. Nice positive example. Because it makes no difference if it's negative or positive. It just is. It's just life. But a lot of things that people get stressed about, get overworked about, are just problems or challenges that they don't have the immediate solution for, and their mind's racing. Their mind's racing, and now they're consumed in the, I can't do it, and that's going on in their mind constantly, so they're unable to solve the issue. And the issue could be just simply living, making a living, going to your job, finding a new job. You know, it could be a simple issue that's not overly complex, you know? It could be a very simple everyday life issue, but it's so consuming that you know, it's crippling you. It's sucking you right in. So it could be something middle, like losing your job, needing a new job. Okay, you can get. You know what I mean? Like my buddy, he didn't lose his job. He just finished school. His job ended. He's got an interview today. Like if my buddy could get a job in a couple days, you know what I mean? Like man, anyway, it's not rocket science to get a job out here, right? So like that's like to me is just an issue. That's just a problem, or not even a problem. It's just a challenge in life. Yeah. Like a major health issue, right? Now that's another thing, right? Because now you have the opportunity to either research, learn, and figure out ways you can help your health. But obviously the doctors are professionals, so get them to help you also. But if you just get dependent on the doctors, right, and they're saying, you can't do nothing, and now that's crippling your mind, bringing you down, right? Yeah. Like it's in your head, right? It's like you could be doing your body could be crippling and fading away due to some physical illness, and the doctors, they can't even help you because they're not at that level. Because you know what I mean? Like they're only at a certain level. They the physical realm is pretty advanced, but like they're only at a certain level. Like you know what I mean? Like cancer just wipe you out. You know what I mean? Like mad people in my family just gone, cancer gone. There go. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's crazy, you know. So like that's that side. But now let's go to the positive side, right? Where I showed up at George O'Neill Public School in Nipigon to make a music video with the youth. I show up there, and I'm used to making songs with 5, 10, 15 kids. When I started doing the run of public schools where I was making music videos, all these videos are on my YouTube too. Go check out. World Peace. There's 7 videos from the public schools in the Greenstone Superior District School Board. But I went to the first school in Manitowoc, and there was 15 kids, and that was like one of the largest groups that I'd worked with at that point. So I've made it happen. Next one was in. What's the next place? Schreiber. There was about 9 kids, so I'm like, easy, killed it. Next one was now George O'Neill in Nipigon, and I show up there, and I told them 7, 8, we'll do it with 7, 8, maybe some 6s, maybe 5s if there's not that many kids because these are small schools, right? I show up there, and they're like, the grade 7, 8s were too cool for school, so we asked the 3, 4, 5s, and 6s. And they all signed their permission forms. There was 40 kids there.
So they signed permission forms. That was good because I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Like, how does this? We'll get to that process.
They all had their permission forms signed. They all had their consent forms signed. So I get there and I'm like, oh my god, there was 38 forms signed, which means 38 kids are in the class. So now I'm like, okay, we're gonna start doing it. But at that point, right, you might get overwhelmed. It's just an issue. Losing your job, showing up to a school and have 40 kids there, and I have to make a song and a music video with all these kids, and they still gotta take lunches, breaks. I gotta like tiptoe around that, like not tiptoe, but I mean like
work around it.
Work around the lunches. Yeah. There's no lunches when I'm around, but like it's always like, what kid doesn't want to take lunch? You can't. You're starting, But what happened is, first thing, now like this is an intense situation, right? Just like losing your job. Just like, health issues, just like getting breakups, just like, getting a flat tire, you know what I mean? Like, it's just something in life, that you have to overcome, So, my breath. Now, like, the deep breath is a powerful tool when dealing with, like, intense situations, right? So, if your whole life is an intense situation, practice that deep breath, use that as a tool, focus on your breath. But in this situation, for me, this is like a fairly intense situation. I show up there, and the teachers are laughing. I'm thinking they're joking, but I'm like, I don't think they're joking. Because the principal said 25, and then the teacher said, nah, there's 40. And I was like, and they're both laughing, chuckling, and I'm just like,
you guys don't get it here.
I feel like there's 40, because even 25 was a lot, because like, we're going down to grade 3. Like, the younger ones aren't as advanced as the 7/8. It's more work with the little ones, So, like, I keep it cool. I'm a confident guy. I just know, like, I'm going to make it happen because of these tools that you're asking me about. So, the deep breath. This is one thing I realize is, if you have a fork in the road, and you don't know which way to go, just take a deep breath and go.
Pick one.
Just go,
Doesn't matter.
You know what I mean? So, like, that's what I've realized is that's a very powerful tool, is to use your breath just to guide you in life. So if there's ever a decision that it's not like for certain this way or that way, like this, I show up there, 40 kids, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I have to do it. And I just know, like, I can't delay. So I took a deep breath and I started going. And what ended up happening was, this is all documented. If you go on my YouTube, there's a behind the scenes.
I love that.
Perfect. I'm going back and forth, like, from each class. At first, I didn't even know if we were going to make one song or 2 songs. So I'm like, hey, maybe I'll make 2 different songs. Whatever, we'll see. I went in the first class, I'm like, think of an idea. I went in the like 2 seconds in the hallway, I'm like breathing, making sure I'm ready for this, because there's 2 different vibes, So I'm in the next class. Okay, you guys come up with an idea. Back to this one, they had an idea. I was like, oh, perfect.
Yeah,
I go back to the other one. They have an idea, and after they had an idea, I'm like, well, come up with brainstorm, because there was teachers in the class. Got back. They had ideas. I was like, come up with a line. And I was winging it, man. Just going back and forth. Just when I got there, I was like, damn, these kids are working real quick. Like, they're killing it, right? Good. Come up with a line now. So and just back and forth, talking, going to each kid, making sure they all have a line down. Okay, make sure you guys partners, make sure yours rhyme together. Because they're looking at one line, you know what I mean? Like, your song's gonna be 40 minutes long, You know what I mean? So I ended up making 2 separate songs and 2 separate music videos with 40 kids at the exact same time.
You think that's a record?
I don't know, man. But I'll be honest, man. Like, I killed it that day. That was legendary. Like, after I did that, man, I went live and I was just talking up myself because I was so pumped that I had amassed that challenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you overcame it.
And it's just like, if you lose your job, get a new job, celebrate it, deal with it, make it happen, Flat tire, go change your tire, you know what I mean? And fix it, learn how to patch a hole. It's $10 for a little patch kit, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, like,
I got one on my front of my vehicle that's, how to patch it.
You know what I mean? Stick a little hole into it.
But you're not disappointed, or you're not sad, you're not overwhelmed. It's now an opportunity to put a skill to the test. It's like, now I have a chance.
Or develop a new skill.
Watch, learn, figure it out. There's so many resources, bro.
Like, after I did that, man, I never did that before in my life.
Never.
And I showed up there and I had to do it. So I did it. And then now I know I can do it.
Yeah.
But it'll be easier now because I already done it, you know?
Yeah, I got the reps.
You know what I mean? Exactly, the reps. I've got the repetitions. But now, okay, back to the super intense one, right? Because out of all the examples I gave, the health one, where, health decline, doctors can't help you.
Sure, yeah.
That's like an intense one, right?
Right.
That's very intense, But what else is on that level? Like, I'm asking you, what else is on that level of intensity that, like, it's for certain, you can't do anything about it?
So, like
a problem in life, something that comes up.
Pick an extreme one that's on that spectrum.
No, I'm just trying to, I'm asking you.
What's an extreme one?
No, like cancer, you got diagnosed.
Okay, yeah,
like, my dad got, I'll give you an example. My dad got diagnosed with cancer in July.
So
by October, it's over. by January, my dad passed away. You know what I mean? Like, boom, boom, boom. Like, being in the midst of that, it would be very intense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can't solve that issue. You know, it's my dad tried to solve it. You know what I mean? And it didn't work. So do you have any? What are you gonna say?
The thing I want to make very clear when it comes to like mental illness versus mental health. When we focus on mental illness, it's usually something that if we don't, it's usually with mental health. I think we can solve the problem once we identify it.
Exactly.
But
that's how I feel.
With mental illness, the problem is you have to catch it before it becomes a problem. And I think all illnesses fall into that category.
Oh, that's deep. I never.
People will say cancer is like, oh, well, some people have cancer and they die from it. Some people get cured from cancer. Those are illnesses. Yes, true. But more often than not, you could prevent the cancer in the first place from coming. Once the cancer's there, majority of the time you're
no, you're
done.
right, man.
That's it.
That's why it goes back to little kids, man, learning about meditation and all this, so that as they grow up, they can start catching these things in their minds, the different mental illnesses, because they're 7 years old and they're aware of their own thoughts.
But you said it. It's awareness.
And in the like this is a pretty advanced conversation. This is not a curriculum conversation. This is not in the curriculum. You know what I mean? So in order, this is just in order for the school system to this is when you said that, it just triggered my like.
Good, go for it.
Imagine that they teach the kids mental awareness, all this good stuff, and like delve deep. And as they grow up, the kids are aware, and they teach them about mental illnesses too, and like the signs inside yourself and tools to deal with them. Like I don't even know, like the mental illness. That's like that's a far one. That's a bit beyond my spectrum. But as they get older, now they're catching. Now little Johnny, and back to Johnny. Johnny's going to his teacher saying, "Hey, I think I have this mental illness because of this and this and this and this." Not like every kid, like, "Oh, I got this anxiety, depression, all this," and like, but they're really just overthinking. They really just overthink all the time, and they maybe don't come from a stable home, so they have maybe past traumas in their life, and both those things combined are just crippling them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just two situations together that are crippling that person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not a mental illness. It's just it's two situations that are together, and that kid's dealing with it heavy. I'm not saying he's not dealing with it. That kid's definitely dealing with it, but it's just it's they gotta rise up, use some of these tools that the kids that they're being taught. If they were being taught all this stuff as they're coming up, now like they leave that household with the trauma and they go to the schools, and now they're coming home and bringing light into their house. You know what I mean? Healing their families. Yeah,
they're like, oh my dad's got this. It's been going on. Hey, Dad, what's going on?
You know what I mean?
I think you keep touching on it, and I want to focus on it, but it's awareness. I think self-awareness is the biggest key. That if the youth start learning that sooner than later, it'll allow for them to develop that understanding. And it might not all make sense, because like you said too, it's like it might be a bit above their head with some stuff, not all of it, but some stuff. Let's give them credit. And then maybe
once you're 13, if you were trained up in school, they know more than
maybe
we
little
do.
Johnny isn't so little, and then they're like 13, 14, 15, high school, and they're like, oh, I don't have major anxiety. I don't need to see a doctor to get medication. I just have stage fright.
You know what I mean? And what stage fright is when you're behind the stage, your mind's overthinking. Oh, what if this happens? What if this?
Overthinking it. Yeah, bro.
Like, that's the thing. When I have these conversations with people, overthinking is like the biggest culprit out here. And overthinking, remember, it goes back to when I learned to clear my mind. Overthinking is having a fog of thought over life. Yeah, man. And if your fog of thought is going down negative, oh, woe is me. When I go on the stage, everyone's going to laugh at me. Now you're crippled in the back because you identify with those thoughts and believe them to be real. But they're just man-made words. They've just been programmed in your mind, maybe from your trauma-filled household that's being put in your head. But it's not who you are in your true essence. Yeah. They're just man-made words.
Crazy.
Like this is it's
a cycle.
It's a deep thing because it just is. This is a cool conversation. I'm glad we're delving into this because I really feel like it's an important conversation to have.
It needs the attention. Yeah.
It definitely does, because everyone deals with mental health, whether they have real good mental health or their mental health it's an illness. They got a mental illness, and their mental illness is killing them. You know what I mean?
I want to before we so I agree with that last thing you mentioned. So I want to jump forward onto something, but kind of to come full circle with that. I think it's cool that you're using and creating this platform that you're able to, even if you don't, or people don't look at you in the past or haven't looked at you in the past as like more of like a goofy dancer guy,
I am so
you know?
happy.
Whereas now it's kind of like you almost are like growing into that advocate
The thing
for
is,
these issues.
as I've been
Does that make
growing,
sense?
I just became easy. It's just been the thing about see how I'm messing up. See how I just messed up my speech. As you move forward in life, you know you grow at different aspects of life. I just became more fluid at explaining this stuff.
I think that's it.
I
Yeah.
just couldn't explain it before. It's hard to explain it, you know.
Yeah.
This conversation, like when you said that one thing, and I was starting to think about the kids learning about mental health and them catching signs of illness. I never had that conversation until right now.
Right,
So I was I was stumbling over myself, and I was like, "Ooh,
You're like, yeah,
you know what I mean?" I was because I never delved into that conversation before, and over the past 9 years of me having conversations about anything and everything with people, this is the thing. This is the funny thing that a lot of people I feel do not relate to. But on a podcast, that's not a good thing to say. Usually, you want to say relatable things to people for them to want to watch. But you see these interviews, right? They're hour long, hour and a half long, right? Hour and a half long conversation, right? I have hour and a half long conversations all the time with just anybody and everybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like a random person will call me, and I'll have an hour and a half long. I've never met this person in my life. They live in somewhere, you know what I mean? They live in the United States, and I'm just talking to this person for an hour and a half because they're on a certain level and we're vibing together. Or I'll go deliver a hoodie to somebody, and I might, this is the thing.
Stay for dinner. And you're like,
some people,
or hanging out with Katrina from Bangladesh. And you're like, what are we
you know what I mean? Like just like showing up and just having deep conversations, and it just allowed me to practice explaining the simple things that I've learned to keep myself at peace and to flourish internally. And I want everybody to be happy and flourish internally. That's why I really go so hard and I never give up. And I just keep pushing, because I want everyone to thrive internally and be at peace with themselves and love themselves so they can go out and love the world and love life. And if you're in the world loving life, bubbly, happy, we're going to have world peace. And who doesn't want to be bubbly inside, Like, do it for selfish reasons, be happy, you know what I mean? For selfish reasons, get your happiness levels up. You know what's crazy?
What's crazy, dude? Talk to me.
In 2016 in the summer, shout out Rodney Rushton. I was at my buddy Rodney's place. He's one of my OG friends, Like I don't have many like OG friends that I've known for 10 plus years, 15 years. Rodney's been my buddy since I was 15 years old. You know what I mean? Like 13 years Rodney's been my buddy,
Semantics.
So like I was at his place in 2016 and I remember looking in the mirror and I was like, I did it. I achieved happiness. I did it. I made it happen. I was so ecstatic. He wasn't even there. I was in his house by myself, looking in the mirror, ecstatic. I was 20 years old at the time, looking in the mirror, 2016 in the summer, just ecstatic that I had achieved happiness, right? And that's why if you go listen to all my songs, I just keep pushing. I try and keep it simple. Like I'm so happy. Simple reason I am so happy is because if you think I'm so happy, it's going to get programmed in your head, and now you're going to have a positive thought pattern in your head. I love myself. Same thing.
It's all just reprogramming your.
And I'm always reprogramming, exactly. And I'm always talking about breathing, like. And I am so happy. You know the song. I am so happy. The first verse goes like, with every breath I breathe, I feel the peace release. I feel the love in me.
Yeah.
HAPPY, happy. You gotta keep it funky.
Sure. Yeah.
Happiness is your choice. Positive thoughts with your inner voice. Life is meant to enjoy. That's the verse, If you don't like my song,
is he speaking?
If you don't like my song, I'm so happy. It's like, man, like at least listen to.
The problem's you.
Not... No, it's not even that. It's just like for me, it's like the music. It's one thing. It's one thing, music, whatever. But to me, music to me is a tool to spread this message. So like that's it's a very simple. Even every day is a world peace day. Like any of my songs, if you listen to the words, it's usually just simple statements about mental health, about loving life, loving people, loving everything. And then I might throw some random stuff in there to keep it fun and happy and exciting. Throw some cool rhymes in. But at the end of the day, it's just go. Same thing. I'm just drilling it home because I just feel like it's super important. And yeah, I forget what your question was. I'll be honest. I got sidetracked when I was shouting out Rodney. I was like, "Shut up, Rodney!"
No, I think you hit it, bro. I think you hit it. You hit it. So you answer the questions like right away.
What was the question?
And then you explain it.
Did
and
I?
Then you answer.
What was the last one you asked?
Oh Oh, I can't remember, dude. But I
Oh, it
know,
wasn't one of the written ones? Okay.
No.
Yeah, whatever.
No, there's something about it. But it was, I think it was something.
No, you were talking, and I was like, yo, let me shit.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Half the time I want to ask questions. Shit'll just flow. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this reminded me of this to remind you of that. And then we just change it. But anyways, switching gears a bit, I'm curious.
Wait. Are you about to do one of those?
Sort of. Why?
Okay, wait. I caught it.
Fourth wall.
Fourth wall?
Yeah, nobody's supposed to know I'm asking questions that are written down.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. Go for it. What's your...
So, fourth wall. So, why I was talking about these conversations is because sometimes I get into conversations with people that I can just tell, like, ooh, like, that's, like, you know, that's a bit past my spectrum of understanding. And if anybody out there is, like, really struggling and can't deal with, you know, their own mental health, and it's just over consuming them, like, definitely reach out to people. Shoot me a text if you want to chat, 249-878-5510, 249-878-5510. Definitely reach out, you know, because I feel like I was explaining about over the years of me being able to explain more and more, it's just due to the fact that I've had more and more conversations, and it's become more fluid for me to explain the simple things that I've learned and have implemented in my life and worked for me. So I'm going to just try and share them with everybody. So have a conversation with people, speak to your friends, talk to your parents, go on like a chat room, post online. I don't know, reach out, communicate. It's a very powerful tool. That's all I had to say, you know.
No, dude, that's perfect. That wraps it up for that. But in terms of communities, and you mentioned going to schools and stuff like that, you have a very powerful impact in specifically the Indigenous community, is what I'm noticing, like, as a trend, right? Now, my question is, how did that get started? Like, do you call those communities specifically? Like, what's your tie to that initially? Was it like you just surfed the like the trend of like when like with the residential schools, and you wanted to like have their stories be heard more, or what? Or was like what happened there?
It's cool you brought up residential schools, because that's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's a crazy thing. There's the next video that I'm going to drop is called Every Child Matters, that we made in Big Grassy.
Yeah.
And it's like a 4-minute song, and these kids going...
They made it.
Oh, yeah. No, they made it, man. They wrote all these lyrics. Like, some songs, when I'm in the schools and we do the brainstorming, a lot of ideas. The Every Child Matters song, there was not too many ideas brainstormed, but every kid had a bunch of ideas on their piece of paper. You know what I mean? I show up and that girl wrote all her stuff, you know? Shout out to Riley. She was when you hit play on the Big Grassy album, I was just listening to it before I came here. It's like done, you know? I'm just like listening to it, making sure it's not out yet. I'm just making sure it's all good.
Yeah.
And when you hit play, it starts off with Every Child Matters, that's the chorus. Sure. And then the first verse is this girl named Riley, and she was a perfect example of how she just wrote her own lyrics on her own and just killed it. But I just had to bring up that Every Child Matters song because you brought up the residential schools, and that video is like going to be I'm going to drop it real soon.
I'm excited for you, man.
So back to your question. So what happened was in 2021, 22, I started delivering my hoodies. Get your World Peace hoodie, same number, 249-878-5510. I started delivering my hoodies and singing songs for people.
Yeah.
It's a service. I'm going to come deliver, sing some songs, bring some joy in your life. And I started traveling more, going up to Timmins, Sault Ste. Marie, North Bay, traveling a bit farther than Sudbury. I've really never in Sudbury. I've barely, like, January's here one day all month, you know what I mean? Like, I've been here this month because I've been on my computer, but I haven't been out in Sudbury. Like, nobody's seen me except for five people seen me. You know, I just been out my house editing stuff. But what happened was, you know, making all these deliveries, and from expanding out, I started making deliveries to different reserves, right? And just, you know, singing songs, do. All groovy. Yeah. Then what happened was Henvey Inlet, which is just south of Sudbury. They reached out to me and wanted me to perform, but they wanted me to like be there for 3 hours, and I'm like, I'm not performing for 3 hours. Like, that's crazy. Like, this was even before I might have had I'm So Happy. I don't even think I had I'm So Happy. Every Day's a World Peace Day. You know, I didn't even make I Love Myself. I don't even think I had that song at the time. You know, so like I'm like, I'm not performing for an hour or more than an hour, right? Like an hour is it, you know? And they were like, oh, you could do like crafts and stuff and just be a positive influence. And I was just like, cool. I was like, no, I'm not doing crafts. I'm a grown man. Like, I'll make a whole music video from scratch with the kids, you know? And she's like, you can do it. This when it comes to like, you gotta be quick too, you know, do things now. it popped up in my head, and I just like, I can do that. And she's like, okay, cool. That'd be cool. That'd be very cool.
They're like, do something.
You know?
Yeah,
so I show up with all my studio equipment,
better,
but this was the first time I did it, so I premeditated the chorus would be all of us together, we are one forever. I premeditated the beat would be. I premeditated those two things, and I was gonna get the kids to come up with all the chorus or all the verse lyrics, and I was gonna piece together, and I was gonna say it, and then I was gonna get everybody to say all of us together, we are one forever, and then we shoot the video, and it worked out flawlessly. Boom. And I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
So then going forward, you know, traveling around, and then when different communities would reach out to me and want to have me come work with their kids, I was like, well, I could perform, or I could do this.
Yeah.
And then, you know, a couple communities had me do this, make another video, right? And then I realized that some kids liked doing it more, and they wanted to do like more than just like, you know, they wanted to say the lyrics and stuff. So then I was like, well, I could make a whole album. And then, you know, communities started having me make whole albums, and then, you know, it's just cool, you know, like, that's pretty much it was just the process, you know, and it's just the fact that I'm a beast on FL Studio. That's all I can say. I'm a beast on FL Studio. I'm just tooting my own horn, but like, I'm sitting there, man, I'm hitting those buttons so fast, like, people don't work that fast on these programs. Like, I'm just, speak, you know, now they're listening to themselves, and there's a whole song, but the kids punched in one line at a time, and now we're listening to an entire song. I put the effects on it and everything, and it sounds like there's delays, there's like cool effects, there's drops in it, beat little switches, and we just made it like I've made songs, man, with kids in like 20 minutes, man, and this kid never made a song in his life. We just started making music, right? So like, it's just a cool process, and the fact that I'm super pumped up, and I've been doing all these performances, delivering my gear, singing songs, perform for one person, perform for 2 people, 5 people. I'm aware of how to connect with people and arouse enthusiasm. So to arouse enthusiasm, to come up with some positive ideas, right? Oh, so what's the positive idea? Hockey. Okay, that's a very positive idea. What are some positive ideas about hockey? Write those down. Right. Okay, now everybody think of some positive ideas about hockey that relate to you and write them down. Go around, help them all write the lines. Okay, come up with a couple more lines. It's just all about positive, thinking positive. Arouse the enthusiasm to think positive, and then they write them down. And then now, you know, some kids can rhyme, some kids can't. The younger they are, the more I have to help them rhyme.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So, you know, help them make it rhyme. And now arouse the enthusiasm to stand tall and say, hey, my name's Kiyan Pepper. I love life forever. And then get them to say it on beat now, you know?
Have them say their thing with it.
So, like, what I started doing, what I realized, is to have the kids repeat after me. Obviously, if they're at a certain level, they don't need to do it. They can just use their minds. So I would have them repeat after me, and I have a pair of headphones, they have a pair of headphones. So we're both sitting there, and I can hear exactly what they're recording. I record with the effects already on, so I know how it's, you know, I know it's good, you know? So I just listen one, okay, next line, okay, do, I believe in myself. Okay, you gotta do it a bit quicker, you know? I believe in myself. Perfect. You know what I mean? And piece it all together, and it's just, you know, that's just the process of that. Just a little side note, but it's just it's been a super cool journey. We've made like, and combined with like all the public schools and the First Nation communities, we made like 120 songs. I think there's like 32 music videos or 33 music videos or something in total in the last like year and 4 months. Something crazy, you know? So yeah, that's...
Reset it real quick. Before I run the... change that up.
But yeah, that's pretty much, that answers your question.
Bunch, eh?
Like 120, like...
That's cool.
There's already a song called Every Child Matters, but there was no video for it. So...
and the thing is more so the video, like you need the...
the video is just, you know, thing about me too is with my music, I always promote all my music, right? So the reason why I love doing this is because the kids are coming up with positive world peace music. So I'm obviously going to promote this because it's beneficial to the world. It goes along with what I'm doing.
Dude,
you know,
the kids love it.
Oh, the kids are hyped, man. They're hyped,
we get
man.
to be in this video, we get to, you know, hey, our parents get to see it, people get to see it.
Man.
Question.
You should see Res Homies, man.
Do you get, do they pay you to go most time? Yeah, full time, every time?
Yeah.
That's sick.
Of course, man.
Nice. Of course, is it like one fee? Or do you have, like, how did you kind of come to that number, if you don't mind me asking?
Just how much it's going to cost, you know, for all the effort, you know, promote it, you know, all that good stuff, you know.
Nice. And you tend to promote them all? Like, is that your...
I promote them all,
everything?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, man. You got to promote it. Especially, like, I'll use the example of what we need in our community. Shout out to Seguin. Seguin, he's probably 13 now. Him and his cousin, Kaylee, who's probably 14 now, they made a song called What We Need in Our Community, talking about just deficiencies in the
Just
community.
them?
Yeah, just 2 kids.
Oh, nice.
This was in Martin Falls. Martin Falls was very few kids, so like a lot of the songs were just 2 kids, 3
Whereabouts
kids.
is that?
It's like Flying Reserve up north, you know? You gotta fly there. It's like,
yeah.
you know where Geraldton is, or Hearst?
Hearst, yeah, Hearst.
It's like north of Hearst in the bush, a couple 100 kilometers.
That's northern.
So I was like, you know, in the plane, you know, riding shotgun in this plane. It was pretty sweet.
What? Amazing.
So they made this song called "What We Need in Our
Yeah.
Community," talking about the deficiencies in the community and all that. And I was, you know, sharing it heavily, promoting it, and people up north in farther north communities, like in none of it, were sharing it like crazy. Like the video has like 700 shares or something like that on Facebook, something ridiculous. You know what I mean? And that one's probably like the most like just straight music video shared on Facebook, just like for
Good
me,
for you,
just
man.
because like
That's fucking awesome.
just because the message was just so potent from these 2 little kids. You know what I mean? And then if you imagine you watching something and you directly relate to that, you're gonna hit the share button. You know? So
Yeah.
like stuff like that, song like Res Homies, right? You know the song With My Res Homies?
Yeah.
Res Homies, that was like one of the first ever ones. That was like one of the first ever songs, and it's like still one of the best ones, you know.
Yeah.
That one was made on like just my I have a new mic now, a new computer. That was made on my old little used mic I bought, my old computer. You know, it was recorded in a gym. You could hear kids playing basketball. If I mute the beat, you hear basketballs bouncing in the background. You know what I mean? Like, because you couldn't shush the kids; they were having too much fun. The
Yeah.
ones that weren't participating in
yeah.
the music. And that song, what I realized with that song is, I keep promoting that one so much because I realize like how much joy that brings kids on reserves, you know, because they still sitting there watching YouTube and they see
Yeah, and they're
it
pretty
pops
isolated.
up, and now they're just seeing With My Res Homies, you know what I mean, and they're all pumped, they're hanging out with the Res
Like,
Homies,
I got Res Homies.
and I've personally seen how much joy it brings these kids.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I have to just keep pushing this out hard just to pump up all these kids. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of another song. That Native History, for example. The kids in lab school, those were teenagers that made the song Native History. That song, I knew the second I seen the first line, that it was going to be big, you know? Just because it was just so potent. It was just talking about Native history, and these are teenagers. These are 16, 17, 18-year-olds. They're just as smart as us, if not smarter, because they're in school right now. So there was 5 of them on the song, I think, maybe 6, don't quote me. They all wrote their parts, pieced it all together, and I just knew, like, this is going to be big, you know? Like, and so, like, that song right there, I have to promote that just based off the message and the fact that that message needs to get out there and people need to know more about Native history. Simple stuff. This Every Child Matters song is going to come out. I'm going to make sure everybody sees it. Another song they made is called Mental Health Music. I'm going to make sure everybody sees that one. You know what I mean? Yeah. Positive vibes only here. That's one that's about to come out too. That one's just a simple positive vibes only here. The beat is like an Ice Spice boom, 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 boom. Like, it's real simple, but it's so hyped and it's based around just positivity, thinking positive. All I had the kids do was come up with any positive thoughts. Just come up with positivity, put it all together. What's good in your life? What's positive? It's not because the song was called. The idea was positive vibes only here. Yeah. So you know.
Yeah. Find it. Focus.
You know what I mean? So those 3
3
songs are like three of the 8 that are coming out soon. That I'm just gonna have to promote heavily because the messages are so pure. Yeah. The songs are good. They're powerful.
Yeah, more people need to hear them.
You know what I mean? So I'm gonna make sure everybody hears all that, man. Yeah. Boom shakalaka.
Nice, dude. Speaking of.
I'm so great.
Hearing all that, that's that kind of, I think, encapsulates everything I kind of wanted to hit on today, especially with you. I'll let you conclude in a second with any last things you want to, like lessons or things you want to make sure we hammer home, because we went into a few things that I really wanted to. I'm happy we dove in. They needed the time, but I think if we add any more to it, it might be overwhelming. So I think the handful of things we did touch on with the mental health and the kids making the music videos and how all that kind of goes, I think is I really wanted to know about that creative process. So I really appreciate you taking the time today and sharing that with me, dude. It's very, very interesting to see how different creators approach it. And I always have, and I'm not saying this for you, but whether I agree with like type of music other people create and stuff like that, whether it's negative, a lot of music tends to be like pulled from hardships, right? So it's relatable as you're taking a very different approach. So that allows me to understand it a bit more and like maybe not fully relate to it all the time, but definitely appreciate it and see the value in it and the value in the message. And there's something to be said about creators like you who are doing that. So I have nothing but love for you, dude, and I really appreciate you sharing that and taking the time today to touch on those things with me. Do you have any nothing too crazy, any last minute, like...
Nothing too crazy.
Because I just feel if you list a bunch of things, stuff might get convoluted.
No, I know.
Right?
You were saying you had a couple more points, but you think they'll go on too long? Like
We hit them.
oh, like that's everything.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't have 70
there's nothing else that you wanted because
No.
like I could answer the questions quicker if you wanted me to. Like if you want me to quickly answer a couple things, like I very well can. I drew
they
one.
blended together. You answered two with
I
one.
just want to make sure that you're satisfied.
I'll show you after.
I hope
and
you
you'll be
guys
like,
out there are all
okay.
satisfied. And last words.
Yeah, man, go for it. Conclude. Wrap us up before
The last words. So this is.
Man.
Okay,
Roll the red carpet.
so there's double. This is a double last word. So before I say the last, because Because this is touching on what we were talking about before.
Perfect.
The last words are going to be, I'm going to try and sum everything up in a powerful little snippet, so that if you listen to just that part, hopefully it'll benefit your life.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it'll bring more joy and peace in your life. Right? And from conversation after conversation after conversation, I've developed being able to say this because so many people have asked me, how are you so happy? Mm-hmm. So many people have asked me, how do you have so much energy?
Sure.
What happened?
Sure.
I knew you when you were a kid. You weren't always this happy. So I've had to explain it so many times, and I've realized just little things, little simple, descriptive 3 words that when you piece these 3 words and these 3 words, I can explain it very much in 25 words, right?
Perfect.
So that's my little just to let you know that like that's just how over the last 9 years my message has just slowly been getting more refined because I've just been able to explain my words and explain my message in shorter amounts of time and not have less
concise.
more concise, exactly. So last words being
lay it on us.
We're all one on this beautiful planet, of course, dependent on her for food, water, shelter, and the books of power of Now and a New Earth were the catalysts to change my life. They taught me to be aware of my thoughts, be aware of my emotions, use my breath to clear my mind, calm my emotions, and lock into my inner peace, and go out in the world and spread peace and love. And those simple aspects of life were the foundational tools that allow me to just flourish, fly like a butterfly, and be happy all the time. And I just want everybody to be happy and feel good inside and love life and love everybody and thrive and succeed, work hard, chase their dreams, and do it all with love as the foundation. And that's pretty much my final words. World peace.
I'm grateful for your time today, brother, and I look forward to seeing the new music video come out and keep, staying subscribed to the YouTube since before you even did the show last time, and I'm happy we were able to get to it today, brother. So.
Oh yeah, subscribe to the YouTube and search World Peace. Also, World Peace Jesus is my Instagram. World Peace Jesus is my TikTok. World Peace Jesus Christ is my World Peace Jesus Christ is my Snapchat. World Peace Jesus is my Snapchat. My website's worldpeacejesus.com. World Peace on YouTube and World Peace on Facebook. YouTube will have all the videos. They're coming out real soon. Big Grassy Youth did an amazing job. 30 songs, 8 music videos. Home run, amazing music. I'm super grateful. Grateful for you, Glenn. Grateful for you tuning in. Peace and love. Stay hydrated. Eat your vegetables.
Right on,
And world peace.